there's finally a bit of light breaking through the clouds at Ibrox. After weeks of frustration, poor results, and protests from the stands, it seems like the winds are starting to shift, and it all begins with the arrival of Danny Roll. The new manager walks into a club desperate for direction, for identity, and most of all, for results. But alongside his arrival, the structure off the pitch is starting to take shape as well, with sporting director Andrew Kavanagh already moving pieces behind the scenes. And that might just be the spark Rangers need heading into a crucial period. Kavanagh's influence is already becoming clear. He's not just talking about plans. He's actively helping build the foundations for a much-needed overhaul of the squad. For months now, it's been obvious that the squad has gaps, lacks experience, and simply doesn't have enough steel to compete consistently. And while the summer window saw some big moves, the results on the pitch have exposed deeper problems. With only one win in 8 league games, it's become painfully obvious to everyone involved. This team isn't where it needs to be. But Kavanagh isn't hiding. Far from it. In fact, he's made it clear that if the squad needs strengthening in January, then money will be made available. That alone is a major signal of intent. And that backing could be exactly what Danny Roll needs to reshape this group in his image. The idea now is clear. Use the next couple of months to assess, to watch, to study every player and every performance, and then act decisively in the winter. This isn't just about plugging holes anymore. It's about setting the tone for a new era at Rangers. Kavanagh's message was as honest as it was determined. He openly admitted that the squad was never meant to be complete after just one window. That much is true. Very few clubs get it all right in a single shot. But what stood out was his openness to invest again, and not just for the sake of it, but if the right opportunities arise. He talked about the need for experience, for leadership, for grit, qualities that this squad has lacked in key moments. And if those players are out there, available, and fit the vision, then Rangers will go after them. It's not just about transfer talk, though. The bigger story here is that the leadership at Rangers is showing signs of stepping up after a difficult spell. And nowhere is that more clear than in the words of Chief Executive James Stewart. For weeks, the pressure has been mounting on him. Fans calling for his resignation, banners in the stands, protests outside the ground. All of it tied to a series of missteps, including the failed pursuit of Russell Martin and a poor start to the season that left supporters wondering what direction the club was really heading in. But Stewart isn't backing down. At the press conference introducing Danny Roll, he was asked directly if he'd ever considered stepping aside. His answer? A firm no. According to him, he's never thought about quitting. Instead, he says he's doubling down, ready to work even harder to get Rangers back to where it belongs. That's a bold statement, especially given the noise surrounding his position. But Stewart insists he understands the criticism and accepts the blame, even calling himself the lightning rod for fan frustration. He made it clear that the anger in the stands is shared in the boardroom. The results, he admits, haven't been anywhere near good enough. But he sees his role as one of leadership, to absorb the pressure and guide the club through this turbulent period. His words were passionate, even emotional at times. He talked about fighting for Rangers, about proving to the fans that the people in charge are doing everything they can to turn things around. Of course, words only go so far. And Stewart knows that. The supporters have heard promises before. What they want now is action, improvement on the pitch, smarter recruitment, better performances, and most of all, results. Still, it's worth noting that Stewart didn't dodge the tough questions. He faced them head-on, defended his position, and committed to making things better. Whether or not that's enough to change the mood remains to be seen. But for now, he's not going anywhere. Elsewhere behind the scenes, another story has stirred debate. The appointment of Robbie Felwell to a key recruitment role at the club. That's right, the son of sporting director Kevin Felwell is now head of recruitment at Rangers, and naturally, that has raised eyebrows among fans. But according to Kevin Felwell, this isn't about family ties. He insists that Robbie earned the job on merit, and that the process was more rigorous than for most hires. At the same press conference that introduced Danny Roll, Felwell addressed the elephant in the room. He acknowledged that appointing his own son would always create noise, that it would look a certain way, no matter how the process unfolded. But he pushed back hard against the idea that this was some kind of nepotistic move. According to him, the real driving force behind the appointment was technical director Dan Perdue. someone who had tried to bring Robbie to Everton in the past, but was blocked by Felwell himself, who at the time believed his son wasn't ready. Now, though, the circumstances are different. Purdue was once again keen to bring Robbie on board, and this time, Felwell gave the green light. He says it was a tough decision, but one that was fully transparent. He claims the board was consulted, the process was thorough, and ultimately, it was about bringing in the best talent. Robbie's CV is solid, roles at Aston Villa, Norwich City, and interest from 2 Premier League clubs. According to his father, he doesn't need help from family anymore. The optics, however, are another matter. Supporters have every right to question whether personal relationships are influencing big decisions at the club. And right now, with trust in the leadership already under strain, these kinds of appointments need to be airtight. What happens next will define whether this move strengthens Rangers or becomes another source of division. But if the Felwell family is right, and Robbie truly is the best man for the job, then it will become clear soon enough, because results will speak louder than anything else. In the midst of all this, Danny Röhl takes his first steps into one of the most pressure-packed jobs in British football. The German coach has a big task ahead. He inherits a squad lacking confidence, a fanbase demanding change, and a board that knows it cannot afford another misstep. But he also arrives at a moment of opportunity, a moment where the structure around him is finally starting to take shape. Kavanagh's promises, Stewart's defiance, and the club's willingness to invest all create the possibility of a reset. The question now is whether Röhl can harness that energy, get his ideas across quickly, and start producing performances that match the ambition being talked about off the pitch. Because for all the plans and promises, football is a results business. And Rangers, right now, need wins, urgently. Now with the groundwork being laid and the leadership showing renewed resolve, the real spotlight shifts to Danny Röhl himself. His appointment has stirred a mixture of curiosity and hope among the Rangers faithful, not just because of his fresh perspective, but because this is someone who's walked through top-level dressing rooms, studied under elite managers, and built a reputation for modern football. Thinking, what Röhl represents isn't just a new name at the helm. He's a symbol of a new approach. And make no mistake, that's exactly what Rangers need right now. He arrives at a club stuck between eras. The recent past is littered with inconsistency, short-lived ideas, and managerial tenures that never truly settled. The expectation at Ibrox is massive, not just to win, but to win with identity, with style, with authority. Röhl comes in with a blank slate in Scottish football terms, but that might actually be his biggest strength. There are no scars from previous failures, no baggage, just an opportunity to craft a new story from the ground up. But this challenge is far from a simple rebuild. It's a complete cultural reset. The players, the fans, the board, everyone knows that Rangers have not looked like Rangers for a while now. The dominance once held is slipping, and every dropped point has only widened the gap between what supporters expect and what they're getting. Danny Röhl has to bridge that gap, and he'll need time, trust, and tools to do it. That last part, the tools, is where the board and sporting structure need to back up their promises with genuine support. The idea that more funds could be made available in January is encouraging, but supporters have heard similar talk before. What they'll be looking for now is precision, smart signings that address clear weaknesses, rather than scattergun recruitment that fills shirts, but not roles. This squad lacks balance. It lacks leaders in key positions. It lacks players who know how to manage games when the tide turns against them. And for all of Röhl's tactical ideas and energy, he needs players on the pitch who can carry that out when it matters most. That's why the next transfer window already feels pivotal. Not just for this season, but for Röhl's project as a whole. He'll have had time by then to understand who fits and who doesn't, who's committed and who's coasting. If the club is serious about long-term progress, then the January window can't be about panic buys. It needs to be the first phase of a clear, coherent rebuild. One where every piece brought in serves a purpose, not just adds depth. The positive news is that Röhl seems to be getting full cooperation from above. Kavanagh's message made that clear. Dialogue between the manager and the board will be constant in the weeks ahead, and that's crucial. Too often in the past, Rangers managers have been isolated, left to carry the burden while the structure behind them failed to provide proper support. This time, there's talk of alignment. Now the task is to make sure that alignment translates into smart action. But all of that's the long-term picture. In the short term, Danny Roll has to dig deep and grind out results. Performances matter, yes, but at this stage of the season, points are what rebuild trust. And that won't be easy. The fixture list isn't kind. The atmosphere is tense. And every stumble will be met with the same frustration that's been building for months. Roll's calm, disciplined style will be tested immediately. He's got to steady the ship, inject belief into the dressing room, and give the fans something, anything, to hold on to. The positive is that, despite everything, the fan base is still engaged, still watching, still hoping. That hope has been bruised, but not broken. They want this to work. They want to believe in a new project, a fresh identity. That gives Roll a window, a chance to win people over with effort, structure, and honesty. If the players respond to him, if the football improves even slightly, he'll earn time. And that's the most valuable thing a manager can get at a club like Rangers. There's also the matter of style. One thing that's been missing from recent Rangers sides is a clear, consistent way of playing. Roll, by all accounts, brings tactical clarity, structure, pressing, ball control. He's known for demanding discipline off the ball and quick transitions on it. That approach can work in Scotland if implemented properly, but it also requires players who are both physically and mentally sharp. The current squad, for all its individual talents, hasn't shown that kind of consistency. So adaptation will be key. Not every player will fit this new system, and part of Roll's job will be to identify who's on board and who's not, quickly. At the same time, communication becomes vital, not just with the players, but with the wider fan base. One of the biggest complaints in recent months hasn't just been about results, but about the lack of transparency, fans feeling left in the dark, unsure of where the club is headed. Roll doesn't need to give everything away, but visible leadership goes a long way. Press conferences that actually address the issues. Tactical decisions that make sense. Selection choices that reward form and not just reputation. All of that builds a connection with supporters who are desperate to see someone in charge that genuinely gets it. Then there's the emotional side of managing Rangers. The intensity, the pressure, the expectation. Roll is stepping into one of the most demanding football environments anywhere. One bad result, and the headlines write themselves. One poor substitution, and the doubts creep in. He'll need to be resilient, calm under fire, and clear in his vision. But more than that, he'll need to show the players that he's here to win. Not just to survive, not just to develop talent, but to win. That mentality shift is everything. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers across the footballing corridors are growing louder this week, with a story that could shake up the Scottish Premiership. Sources close to the matter claim that Jack Hendry, the towering center-back previously plying his trade at ETTIFAQ in Saudi Arabia, is on the verge of sealing a move back to Scotland. And the club at the center of the chatter? None other than Rangers. Hendry's time in the Middle East, while fruitful in terms of experience and exposure, has been tinged with hints of restlessness. The defender, who has always been known for his commanding presence at the back and his penchant for marauding runs forward, seems eager for a return to the more familiar, high-octane atmosphere of Scottish football. Insiders suggest that the former Celtic man is particularly drawn to the prospect of challenging in Europe once again, a dream that a return to Ibrox could very well revive. The rumor mill has gone into overdrive following reports of talks between Hendry's representatives and Rangers' hierarchy. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources hint at a swift resolution, with negotiations described as advanced and positive. Rangers supporters are understandably excited at the prospect, seeing in Hendry a player capable of shoring up a defense that, at times, has looked vulnerable against high-pressing sides. His aerial dominance and ability to read the game could provide the kind of stability that has eluded the light blues this season. Naturally, questions remain. Can Hendry readapt to the pace and physicality of the Premiership after his stint abroad? And how will his arrival affect the current defensive setup at Ibrox? Yet, the very possibility of his return has already set tongues wagging across the terraces and in Scottish sports media. Social media is alight with speculation, fans dissecting every cryptic post from the players' accounts and scouting potential formations that could accommodate him. If this move does come to fruition, it would be another statement of intent from Rangers, signaling their determination to bolster the squad with experienced talent who can immediately make an impact. For Hendry, it could be a chance to reignite a career that has seen both highs and challenges, and to do so on home soil, under the bright lights and passionate scrutiny of Scottish football. As the story develops, one thing is clear: the chatter won't die down anytime soon, and the prospect of Hendry back in blue is enough to have the Rangers faithful buzzing with anticipation. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.